Well, John, let's go ahead and jump right into our UFC fights, which I'm excited for because my boy is fighting on the main event.
Your boy is fighting in the main event, and that is a phenomenal main event. We talk about quality of fights, and you look and you go, you can't get any better than Cory Sandhagen against Umar Nurmagomedov. I mean, Umar's 17-0. Obviously, Cory's had a couple of losses. He's 17-4, but Cory Sandhagen is a monster of a fighter. His stand-up is slick. His ground game has caught up. You know, he was a little bit behind before, but his ground game has caught up. He is smart. He's got an outstanding fight IQ. And Umar Nurmagomedov is one that, like, this is a guy that, has worked his way into being as good as he is. No one handed it to him. He wanted to learn. He asked questions. He has worked his ass off to get there. And at this point, a guy that started off basically as a Taekwondo guy has turned into a beautiful stand-up fighter, using a lot of those spinning attacks that he learned from Taekwondo into a guy that can wrestle his ass off and now has submissions on the ground. He is the full package.
Yeah, John, let's not forget that, most people don't go calling out Cory Sandhagen.
No.
Umar's been calling him out since he got into the top 15 rankings. He's like, you know what? I want that fight. I want that fight. My concern only, and I'm speaking as a friend, being like, okay, there's other fights that you could have taken along the way that were way easier fights. Why all of a sudden go to Cory Sandhagen? Cory Sandhagen's grappling is drastically underestimated. Like, people underestimate his grappling left and right. Even Keto George over here shaking his head like a bobblehead on the hood of my car. He's just doing this, like because he knows Cory's good. Cory's body style, long and tall, lanky, 5'11", 135 pounds. That's insane. That's insane. Those they pose problems. Whether it's guillotines, whether it's triangles, whether it's arm bars, whatever it is, it gives them the leverage to go ahead and crank on those submissions.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Umar's got to be cautious on the entry, on the takedowns, because I'm thinking to myself, his game plan is to basically get the takedowns, control the top position, maybe work for his own submissions, because Umar's grappling is phenomenal. And we've had Patchy Mix on, and I've talked to Patchy Mix several times, and he said Umar is for sure, hands down, probably the best fighter in the UFC at 135. He's like, I'm not in the UFC, but that's why I say he's the best fighter in the UFC. But they've grappled together.
He's worked out with him.
Yes, he's grappled with him. He trained with him. He knows how good he is. He knows how good his wrestling is. He knows how good his grappling game is. And he doesn't feel that. I get the opinion that he doesn't feel that Cory has good enough grappling to submit Umar. And I believe Umar is somebody that he understands what the game plan is. He's following the plan. And the plan, John, is to dominate the top position, smother him, control all the positioning that he can from the top position. And if it starts to get a little hairy from the top and submission-wise, back out, let him up a little bit and re-enter. Or as he starts to get up a little bit, take him down again before he gets all the way back up to his feet.
Makes sense. But you look and you go, Cory is tall for the weight class, but he doesn't have that big, long reach. He's one of those guys, because the reach goes fingertip to fingertip. So when you got narrow back and shoulders,
it goes what, John? You just mumbled that whole thing.
Fingertip to fingertip, fingertip, hands outstretched. But when you don't have real wide shoulders, and a big back, it kind of brings it down. So you got Umar is what, 5'8", if that, 5'7", 5'8", and he's got, I believe, a 69-inch reach. Well, I think Cory's at 70. So reach wise, it's close. Obviously, there is the height difference, but I think based upon the spinning attacks that Umar does throw and the way he throws them, it's going to hold Cory back a little bit from what he's comfortable in doing. But it is going to come down to, and I do believe this fight's going to end up hitting the ground, and it's going to be who is on top and who remains in that position and does the damage in the fight. You're going to have a lot of stand-up action, but you're going to have a lot of ground action too. It's going to happen with this. And it's how much damage can each fighter put in those situations where they have the advantage. That's going to be the question on who's going to win this fight.
Yeah, but John, there's other things too that you got to be concerned about. I'm concerned about as a true fan to Umar.
First off, you can't sit here and start to give that you are a true fan. No, you are a homeboy, okay? Who wants
John?
I know you like Cory, but there's no doubt who you are siding with in this fight.
Yeah, there's no doubt who I'm siding with.
Okay, thank you very much.
But that's why I'm raising my concerns. I'm concerned about.
You're always concerned when one of your guys is fighting.
I know, and I have to bring these up because I do get concerned about. I get concerned about the knees from Cory Sandhagen on the entry for the takedowns.
Right.
We saw
totally understandable. Same what happened to Frankie Edgar.
Yep, it's happened to several guys that have fought Cory Sandhagen.
He doesn't have to jump that high.
No, he doesn't. And where I think maybe we're going to see some success out of Umar and getting the takedowns, don't look for him to shoot to the body lock or to the double leg. Look for him to shoot low-level ankle picks. Look for him to shoot low and try to grab. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. He'll come back up to the top and stand a little bit. And look for him also to use long-rangey side kicks, snap kicks to the head like his brother, Usman.
Yeah,
look for that style of kickboxing.
He uses a beautiful wheel kick, though.
Yeah.
His wheel kick is set up beautifully. Very hard to see it as it, before it's coming at you. He sets it up well. And that spinning wheel kick that he does, man, it's like, ooh, he's dangerous with it.
But those are things that I think if you're a fan, you guys are at home watching Umar, he's got to be cautious of the knee that comes up the middle.
I agree with you.
He's got to be careful on how he's reaching and lunging. He cannot allow himself to get carried away with throwing the side kick and then coming back in with the straight left or the straight right and leaving himself out of position because Cory Sandhagen will slip and make him pay. Now on the Cory side, go ahead, John.
And one of the things that I think is an advantage for Cory in this, Cory's been 5 rounds. Umar hasn't.
This is true. But I want to remind you that Umar goes 5 rounds all the time. That's like,
I'm not saying he doesn't.
Eats it for breakfast. Just nom. He's going to eat it up. Look, I'm not concerned about conditioning or cardio.
I'm not. No, look at. But when you are doing it for the first time, no matter who you are, it enters your head.
It's a mental thing. Absolutely, it is. Absolutely is. With Cory, I don't want to make this all about Umar. With Cory Sandhagen, the craftiness, the ability to make adjustments on the fly. Have you ever follow him on YouTube or on Instagram?
Oh yeah,
I do. This guy's his fight breakdowns are freaking insane. Yeah. His technique breakdowns are insane.
Understands.
Yeah. He is someone who is a student of the game. When people talk about being a student of the game, they're not students of the game. This dude is the student of the game. This dude knows what's up. He breaks it down so smoothly, so fluidly, and he sees everything that's happening. And you can go through his own fights and see and he talks about it. I knew this was going to happen. I knew this was going to happen. But I love when he does it for other fighters, what they're doing. He is smooth. He's crafty. And I got to leave him with this because I got to give him some love. I had 2 guys that trained at AKA that went over to Trevor Whitman's. I believe that's where he's at, right?
That's where he's at now.
Yeah, that's where he was at too when they went there. He went to go train. And they're like, they were both 55-pounders. And they went there and trained a little bit with this guy. And they're like, I was like sparring with this guy, da-da-da-da-da. And he was like this small little skinny twig guy. Like they're like, not big.
This skinny ginger-haired guy.
Yeah,
everyone thought he was talking about Keto George.
Yeah, it's like he goes, he's like this just tall, skinny guy, whatever. This dude jacked me up. And then a couple months later, they see him in the UFC and he's getting some wins. And they see him a couple months later and he's in the top 5 rankings. Then he's like, oh yeah, we found out that guy was Cory Sandhagen.
I feel better.
And I was like, oh. These guys were 55-pounders and then went and dropped to 45 because they realized, man, there's no way I'm going to have success at 55. This 35-pounder is just piecing me up. So it's just a funny story because that's how good he is. You got to give him some love, got to give him some credit, and I had to do that because he's, to me, when Umar was calling him out, he was probably one of the scarier fights on this bracket for me. Look, John, Peter Yan, Marlon Vera, Henry Cejudo, Devison Figueiredo, Song Yadong, Jose Aldo, Rob Font. These fighters, right, are all underneath Umar. You're going to give call-outs? I would have liked to have seen maybe the Marlon Vera fight, maybe the Peter Yan fight. Both those fights I could have seen maybe being a little bit easier than the Cory Sandhagen fight. And only based on the fact that Chito fights a lot, but he doesn't fight smart. But Peter Yan just doesn't fight as much anymore now that he's not the champ. He's been very inactive. I don't know if it's an injury thing. I don't know if he just needs a break, a mental reset, whatever it is. Then you got Cory. Merab, I think, would have been a good fight for him too. because I don't know if he would have been able to take him down. The pace, but the two of them with cardio machines, good stuff. Song Yadong would have been, I think, a good fight for him as well.
Tough fight.
A fun fight, but tough fight. Devison Figueiredo's the wild horse in there.
Well,
So fast, so explosive.